Cell found Broly, which led to Goku and Vegeta fighting him, getting to show off their full power too. Gohan also got to showcase his new power against Cell, so what comes next? We'll be covering all that and more in this finale of What If Saiyan Tails Grew Back. Broly's now with Goku and Vegeta on Beerus' planet. They try and train him because he's definitely very strong, but he really doesn't know how to use that power, especially because he's gone berserk each time he's used that. Broly himself isn't even really aware of the power that he holds. It seems he's naturally gifted when it comes to battle, as any Saiyan would be, and he does adapt as he fights. The issue is him going berserk. And also, he's not really that intelligent, which isn't his fault. He grew up alone on a deserted planet after Paragus died. So, besides teaching him the basics of combat, Whis also needs to teach him the basics of, well, just education. There is a lot that he's lacking. And Beerus isn't really too sure about him just yet, because, yeah, he seems powerful, but Goku and Vegeta need to get really serious about training him, because if Broly loses control, especially after growing stronger, that's going to be a big problem. They can't just fight him for fun because that's going to threaten everything around them. And sure, he's confident that they'd be able to stop him if he does go berserk again, but who knows if they will actually be able to tame him, or how far his power truly goes. As far as Vegeta can tell, he's some sort of mutated Saiyan, so he's definitely not like them. They need to be really careful, but at the same time, they can enjoy themselves here. Following Broly, there's not really anything with Granola. With no Frieza being revived, and no Frieza Force being active, it's pretty much business as usual for the Heaters, and there's no need to go after the Dragon Balls for them or for Granola. So none of that is set into motion, and they just continue being them. So that really leaves only one arc left. Superhero. The Red Ribbon Army still wants to make a new android, particularly Cell. They don't actually know that Cell's alive, and Cell of course is doing his own thing now. He's not really loyal to the Red Ribbon Army anymore. It's just him being him. He wants to do what he wants. He's not even on Earth most of the time. He's only been on there very briefly after being revived. Right now, he's out in space doing his own thing. So, the Red Ribbon Army continues their own projects, under the guise of Red Pharmaceuticals. Magenta frees Hedo from prison, and gets him to start working on some androids. First, Hedo of course makes the Gamas, and then he has to start working on Cell Max. The targets are still pretty much the same. They're going to go after whoever's on Earth, and then stop Goku and his alien friends, with the Gamas being made to think that these people are threats. They're really not sure who to go after first for their target. Magenta thinks it might be better to go after one of the weaker fighters first. You know, maybe take one of them hostage, and draw the others to come here. That's going to be killing two birds with one stone. They'll act as bait, but at the same time, they get to eliminate some of the aliens. Gamma 1 goes after Goten, and Gamma 2 goes after Trunks. Although, the two are together training, so when the Gammas find them, it's going to end up being a 2v2. The Gammas introduce themselves as superheroes, which makes Goten and Trunks pretty happy because they're superheroes too. They've never heard about those two though. And they might have heard about the Red Ribbon Army from their parents, but only really in passing, and they wouldn't recognize the logos that they're wearing. Also, in case you forgot, Trunks is the younger one here. So I feel like Goten probably hit his growth spurt already, but maybe Trunks didn't just yet. So they're not fully Saiyamen just yet, but they've been practicing to become them. Although the Gammas doubt that they're superheroes too, and a fight begins. The two of them go into Super Saiyan 3, and the Gammas are taken aback because they are pretty powerful, but still, the two of them are holding back at the moment. The two hybrid Saiyans look at each other and nod. This is their chance to finally use their full power. After a ton of time training, they've been able to unlock Super Saiyan 4 for themselves, and they transform, looking completely different. And it's really weird because the two of them turn into adults when they transform. Just a weird side effect of Super Saiyan 4. Obviously it's more noticeable for Trunks. They've been looking forward to using this in battle, and these two seem like worthy opponents. So each one takes on a Gamma alone. And they're not necessarily strong enough to actually defeat the Gammas right now, but still, they could hold their own, and they're delaying the Gammas. Which is great. It gives just enough time for Gohan to arrive, having sensed them powering up. At first he assumed they were just training, but he could tell they're at their full power and he wonders why. It's worth checking, just to be safe. Maybe they are just fighting and using their full power, but typically they don't use that. So as Goten is struggling against Gamma 1, Gohan enters the battle in Super Saiyan 4 and one-shots him. Goten really wanted to take on that fight himself, but he thanks Gohan regardless because deep down he knows he wouldn't have won that if it went on longer. But Gohan says he can go help Trunks. So Goten joins Trunks, and together they defeat Gamma 2. The three Super Saiyan 4s stand over the two Gammas. The Gammas call them evildoers, but Goten and Trunks assure them that they're superheroes. Gohan does too, although he's not giving away his secret identity. Piccolo arrives too, having sensed this. Wondering what's going on, and by now, Gohan has realized that this is something to do with the Red Ribbon Army. Piccolo's a bit surprised. He didn't realize they were still active. Does this have to do with Cell? And the Gammas look pretty shocked. How do they know about Cell Max? Cell Max? No, they're talking about the regular Cell. Wait, is there another Cell? And this leaves the Gammas equally confused, and same with Hedo. Why are they talking about Cell as if he's still alive? And that's why Gohan and Piccolo are confused. Why are they talking about something called Cell Max? Cell doesn't have any form called Cell Max. Clearly something fishy's going on, so Gohan tells them to take them to the Red Ribbon Army base. The Gammas don't really have any reason to do that, but Hedo says to bring them here. Now he's a little bit curious and concerned. That doesn't make any sense, so he needs to get answers from them. Plus, he can see Magenta starting to panic, and he's probably going to try and activate Cell Max himself, when he's clearly not finished. So by Hedo's command, the Gammas lead them back to the base, and Magenta does end up panicking. Before they even make it to the base, Cell Max is activated. Along the way, the Gammas explain their objective. They were told that these four were evildoers, as well as their friends as well. But Piccolo tells them they're clearly misguided here. Do they actually know what Cell did in the past? Well, no, not entirely. They just heard about the project. So the Gamas heard about Cell along the way, and they're getting increasingly nervous, up until the point when they actually see Cell Max is awakened. Thankfully, they've overcome their misunderstanding with the Gamas. But Cell Max's power feels pretty unreal. The Gamas aren't sure if they're able to win this. Gohan says they'll be fine. Far out in space, Cell is chilling, basically doing his own thing. He's training on his own, attempting to grow even stronger than before. He's going to go back to Earth eventually and fight Gohan again. But it's weird. All the way out here, he feels a power flare up on Earth. And it's a strange type of presence, but it must be nothing. Surely it can't be anything interesting. He'll keep training for now and let them do whatever they're doing on Earth. It's probably something boring and not like the Red Ribbon Army returning and making a new version of him. Anyways, back to Earth. They arrive at the base, and immediately, Gohan goes into his beast form. Cell Max actually is stronger than his normal self here, working with better data, of course. The same thing goes for the Gamas, but they kind of underestimated Goten and Trunks. And they especially underestimated Gohan, which is a good thing. Both Cell Max and Gohan are stronger, and Gohan already has Beast right off the bat. He's actually had it for a good while now and has grown a lot better with it. But he's picked up a new trick with it too. In his Beast form, he fights Cell Max for a bit, and he actually does have the advantage here. But he wants to finish this quick, so he decides to try out this new trick. Occasionally as he fights, a new power flares up. This power is kind of hard to maintain because his energy is just overflowing. There's so much of it and it's kind of tough to contain. So he only uses it in small bursts. Plus, he's combining two powers that use rage together, so it's a little tough to keep full control of it. Goten and Trunks haven't seen this in practice, but Piccolo explains what it is. For now, Gohan's calling it Wrathful Beast, and if they look closely, sometimes when he attacks, his form changes. He's not using Super Saiyan 4 along with Beast, he's just using the power of Wrathful as a nice 10 times boost there. It's a minimal change, but his aura will flare up temporarily, and his eyes will even shift colors. And even with Wrathful being just a 10 times boost, it's two rage powers working together for someone who gets a rage boost on top of that. So it is a pretty deadly combination. Using Wrathful Beast, Gohan doesn't even attack Cell Max's weak spot. Just by hitting him randomly with regular attacks, he's slowly starting to destroy Cell Max. Like first, he tries to deliver a punch. Cell Max puts up an arm to block it, but Gohan knocks his arm right off. Cell Max then swings a tail at him, and Gohan simply swats his arm, slicing the tail off. Slowly, the monster starts to collapse. And, with only a few blows, Gohan completely defeats him. Having held back too because he only flared up into Wrathful Beast briefly. And amidst the chaos, Magenta did try to escape, but he was caught by Hachimaru and then died. And Dr. Hedo made it out okay. He then meets the others. Still, what he did was a pretty bad thing because, he was the one who created Cell Max. So even though he was misled, he's responsible for that, and Dr. Hedo kind of knew what he was getting into. He did it for the money, just so he'd be able to develop the Gamas. Thankfully, he doesn't seem to be truly evil, so they're just gonna kind of look the other way. Goten and Trunks wish they got to fight here a bit, but Cell Max was way out of their league, and same for Piccolo. But hey, at least they got to test out their power against the Gamas. Piccolo's really glad to see how much they've grown. Goku and Vegeta have shifted their focus. They're now trying to work on their Ultra forms. By now I feel like Goku would have at least tapped into Ultra Instinct Omen, and Vegeta's working towards Ultra Ego. Each of which is obviously a very different path for them. As for Broly, he's been learning and adapting, and at least now he doesn't lose control. He can use his Wrathful form, and they've even gotten him to go Super Saiyan once. Which they were kind of scared of because the last time he did that, he was completely berserk, but now he's fine. Of course, they're not on Beerus' planet the entire time. Eventually they do return to Earth, and they bring Broly along because he wants to see it. And they came at the right time because when they're there, Cell then teleports in. He can't believe what he missed. And it's news to them too. Apparently there was another Cell here. Cell was really frustrated by it because it would have been a perfect opportunity to come back. That would have been great trying to fight an inferior version of himself. To think, they tried to make another Cell meant to emulate him. No one can emulate his level of perfection. Goku and Vegeta actually haven't been back to Earth yet, and they didn't hear about the fight. They did sense something going down though. So how does Cell know about it? He actually had come back to Earth a few weeks later, trying to fight Gohan again and still immediately losing. But he heard about the other Cell here. Gohan was the one who told him, and he actually did tell Cell that he's stronger than Cell Max at this point, which gave Cell a nice ego boost, although still not enough to beat Gohan. But now he's looking to fight them because he's been trying to track them down, but he can't just go to Beerus' planet. Not only is it tough, but if he did try to go there, he doesn't know how Beerus would have reacted to him. He finally wants to settle the score with them. His main targets were Goku, Gohan, and Vegeta, but now he's more focused on Gohan and Vegeta. Gohan was the one who showed a lot of promise, and Vegeta was the main reason he died all those years ago. So he could fight Goku later. For now, he wants to fight Vegeta, and he sees Broly's there. Thankfully, Broly doesn't remember a lot from his fight with Cell, so he recognizes Cell, but after he went Wrathful against him, everything was a blur. Interesting. Cell will probably fight him later to see how he's grown. But Vegeta agrees to the fight and tells Cell he doesn't really know what he's getting into. He could die again, you know. And Cell laughs at this. He hopes Vegeta's not underestimating him, and Vegeta says he isn't. There's only one way to find out, though. The two begin fighting, and slowly they power up, showing off their full power. Cell doesn't really have any different forms here. He did have his version of Super Saiyan 4, but beyond that, there's not any significant transformations. He already is perfect, so his design wouldn't really change much when transforming, I'd assume. By now, he has a lot of cool powers. He has Moro's powers, he has Godly Ki, he's adapting fast thanks to having some of Broly's power, things like that. But Vegeta has a new set of powers too, and one that really counters what Broly has. He shows off Ultra Ego. This is the first time he's getting to use it in a real battle against someone. Well, besides sparring against Kakarot. And when Vegeta uses this, he does have the advantage. Although, it's not a huge advantage. It's a hard counter to Moro's magic, and also Cell just absorbing his power in general, plus it can counter Cell's regeneration. So Cell is really careful against this because he doesn't know what to expect. But in terms of raw power, they are pretty close, with Vegeta having the edge here. And the fight ends with Vegeta winning, holding his hand out, charging a Hakai. Vegeta tells Cell this isn't even his full power just yet. He's trying to see if he could stack this on top of one of his other forms, maybe combining it with Super Saiyan 4 or even Wrathful Blue. And Cell laughs at this. They're really obsessed with combining forms. But he gets it. If he were like them, he would do the same. Stacking those powers on top of each other should be pretty fun. The energy in Vegeta's hand grows larger and larger, and he warns Cell he won't be able to regenerate from this. And Cell calls his bluff. He's not going to kill him. The energy then dissipates, and Vegeta detransforms, then smirking. He was just testing to see Cell's reaction. He wasn't actually going to kill him here. Cell is a pretty fun opponent to have, and they're not really threatened by him anymore. It's not like Frieza where Vegeta would want to kill him right off the bat. Sure, they've had their beef with Cell in the past, but it wasn't like deeply ingrained trauma like with Frieza. And ever since the tournament ended, Cell hasn't really been doing too much bad stuff. But Cell warns them to not take his presence so lightly. Who knows, maybe he'll throw some Cell games again and it'll be even more deadly than the last one. And he thanks Vegeta for the fight. He tells Goku he's next though, placing 2 fingers on his head and teleporting away again. And Goku has the same mindset as Vegeta here. Cell being around keeps them motivated, because while they did find Broly, it's not like Broly's an enemy. And even though Cell's not some pure evil monster trying to take over planets and destroy everything, still, he is an enemy to them, and if they don't keep up, he'll eventually get ahead of them, and it'll be too hard to beat them. And who knows what'll happen after that. Right now, he's just focused on training, and isn't doing anything beyond that. So it'll be interesting to see where his training takes him in the future. But for now, Goku and Vegeta have new heights they're trying to get to. For the time being, Gohan is stronger than both of them. But they're going to get pretty close to passing him soon, especially once they get a full grasp on their current powers and maybe even combine them with the other powers they have. Not to mention, there's Broly. He clearly has a lot of power locked away. But with this arc coming to its end, it looks like we can end the entire series here too. What'd you guys think about this story? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to see what you guys think. As usual, be sure to drop a like and subscribe if you haven't already. It really does help with the channel, and it shows me I want to see more videos like this. Anyways, thank you all for watching, thanks for supporting this scenario all the way through, and I'll see you all in my next video.